Hi, loves, and welcome back to Metamorphosis, a healing journey. I am your favorite host, Tyra Wright, and before we get into today's episode, I just want to pause for a moment and say thank you. Because we just hit 500 downloads. That's 500 souls who chose to listen, to sit with me, to heal alongside me, and that means more to me than numbers could ever explain. This podcast started as a whisper in my heart, and now it's becoming something I never imagined. And as we step into this new chapter of the podcast as a visual experience, I want to give a very special shout out to all my listeners. Thank you for believing in the vision, for your patience, and for helping bring this healing space to life in a whole new way. This visual journey wouldn't be possible without you all. We're going to sit here and blow out our candles together. This week's episode is called Proof That Healing Grows You Places You Never Imagined. You know, I often say healing doesn't happen overnight. And today I want to talk about how healing grows you into places you never planned to be. I started therapy in 2019, not because I wanted to, not because I felt ready, but because I had to. I was grieving the loss of my son and at the same time battling crippling anxiety that made everyday life feel unbearable. Breathing felt heavy, existing felt overwhelming, and some days just getting out of bed felt like a victory. Back then, if you had told me that 5 years later I'll be sitting here hosting a podcast, speaking about healing, helping others feel less alone, I would have laughed or cried or probably both. Because at that time, I wasn't thinking about purpose. I was just trying to survive. What therapy taught me wasn't how to erase pain. It taught me how to sit with it, how to understand my emotions instead of running from them, how to name what I was feeling instead of burying it. And slowly, something started to shift. Healing didn't make me forget. Healing didn't make life perfect. Healing made me stronger, softer, and more self-aware. It helped me realize that so many of us are walking around drowning in our emotions, pretending we're okay because the world keeps moving, even when we're falling apart inside. And that's where this podcast was born. I started Metamorphosis for anyone who has ever felt overwhelmed by life, for the ones who feel like they're carrying too much, for the ones who don't always have the words for what they're feeling, for the ones who feel behind, broken, or lost. I wanted you to know something. I wish someone had told me back then. It's okay. You're not weak for struggling. You're not failing because you're tired. And there are better days ahead, even if you can't see them yet. Now, I want to be very clear and honest with you. I'm not a licensed therapist, but I am someone who has done the work. I am someone who chose healing even when it was uncomfortable. I am someone who has sat in grief, anxiety, fear, and loss and found my way back to myself. And I truly believe that healing follows patterns. That's when you give yourself grace, reflection, consistency, truth. Healing becomes something you can understand, almost like a science. Not because emotions are simple, but because self-awareness changes everything. When you learn your triggers, when you learn how your body responds to stress, when you learn how to set boundaries, regulate your emotions, and speak kindly to yourself, that's when healing stops feeling random and starts feeling intentional. This podcast isn't about being healed. It's about being aware. It's about choosing yourself daily. It's about learning how to hold joy and grief in the same hands. And the fact that 500 of you have chosen to walk this journey with me, that tells me this space is doing exactly what it was meant to do. So if you're listening today and you're in a hard season, please hear me when I say this. You won't always feel like this. This pain is not your forever. And one day you'll look back and realize this version of you was building something beautiful, even when it didn't feel like it. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for allowing this podcast to grow, evolve, and now be seen. This is only the beginning. Until next time, love, keep choosing yourself, keep honoring your feelings, and keep believing in your healing. Remember, I healed me for me so that I can learn to love me properly. I'll talk to you soon, loves. Mwah.